Hello and welcome to a special Fit to Speak. I'm Eugene Obah, so glad to have you with us. While there was a lot of news this past weekend on the basketball court, I will render my verdict from the court of Fit to Speak on that other verdict that was heard in the New York City courtroom around the world.
In a unanimous, historic verdict, he's been found guilty of 34 separate charges after he paid off a porn star.
12 business
Ned, I'm just going to interrupt you. I hear that we're getting
falsified.
news that it's all
really,
34 counts. I think we're getting that news from our...
He's guilty on all counts.
Yes.
That is Donald J. Trump, defendant in New York versus Donald Trump, found guilty on all 34 felony counts. That is the verdict here in this case.
In the nearly 248-year history of the United States, there have been 46 presidents. No president who currently or previously held the office has ever been a convicted felon, until last week. Former U.S. President Donald Trump guilty of all 34 counts of falsifying business records by a jury of 12 of his peers. By the way, remember this? Geez, where were those people when he needed them? At least you could say that he did actually achieve what no other past president or current president, in the case of Joe Biden, has done or will ever do, and that is actually win 100% of the popular vote. Hey, every cloud has a silver lining. I'll let the host of Fox Sports is the Herd, Colin Cowherd, put it another way.
If everybody in your social circle is a felon, I don't think it's rigged. I don't think the world's against you. And to get people to agree on anything, 34 counts, 0 for 34. I mean, that's a batting slump even the New York Mets could be impressed with.
In all seriousness, though, there has been a lot of talk about this case, the nitty-gritty of it, even the salacious details surrounding this case. Now, we're not here to do that. What we are here to do, and what has really compelled us to bring the show back much earlier than we anticipated that we would do, is to get the public, meaning all of you watching this program, to think about the broader implications, the real ramifications of this historic moment. That's part of the reason we brought the show back, by the way, is the historical significance of this verdict. And one of the questions that we hope to answer today, or at least come closer to answering, is, does this verdict, in the grand scheme of things, in the bigger picture, does this guilty verdict really matter? Well, yes and no. Yes, in the sense that, yeah, nobody, not even somebody who's been twice impeached, is above the law. At the top of the Supreme Court, yes, I know that this was not tried in the Supreme Court, but on top of the building, the words that are inscribed, that are etched there, are equal justice under law. I mean, think about that for a second. If Bill Clinton, who has an impeachment to his name, did a tenth of the things that the jury has convicted Trump of, given the same set of facts, would the outcome really be different? Would it really be that different? How about for George W. Bush, or even Barack Obama? I'm inclined to believe, given the same set of facts, no matter who it is, that the verdict would have been the same. I think it would have been the same no matter who it was, or what political party that the person came from. And there's been no indication up to this point that the jury did not take this seriously. There was no indication that the jury did not seriously consider the facts in this case and come to what the jury believed was a proper verdict. No indication of that whatsoever. Former Maryland Governor Larry Hogan, who is running for the Senate seat in Maryland, said that the verdict should be respected. I've said in past editions of this program that the modern day Republican Party under Trump's tutelage, I think there was a time where the Republican Party was actually principled. But under Trump, the Republican Party has completely and utterly lacked focus. I've said this in the past. I'll say it here again. The focus is just not there. And what's remarkable to me is that here is an opportunity. Here is an opportunity for the GOP to flip a Senate seat in Maryland, no less, to flip a Senate seat and really provide a bit of a check to President Biden, especially when you control the Senate and already they have control of the House. Just imagine you would have a check on President Biden. You would think that, hey, they will be salivating at the opportunity. But just as if to prove my point, GOP strategist and Trump advisor Chris LaSavita posted on X, quote, "You just ended your campaign." Spitting in the eye of a candidate who could change the balance of power in Congress might not be such a good look 5 months from now. Bookmark this segment, folks. But then I look at the other end. I look at the other side of the argument and look at why this guilty verdict, in the grand scheme of things, doesn't even matter. Why this is not going to move the needle. I don't think that this is going to move the needle so much. We are a very, very divided country. This society, sad to say, but this society, our society at large, has become an affirmation society. We're not an information society. Again, we are an affirmation society, not an information society. We are seeing this in so many places. We are seeing this in book bans. We're seeing this in the silos of media consumption. And hell, we've even seen this during COVID. I see tweets and articles saying that this verdict pretty much hands Trump the election, but we might want the brakes on that, because if it does come down to turnout, and most likely it will, there are more registered Democrats than Republicans, at least in the states that report the breakdown of voter registration. The only hope that the Trump campaign can hang on to is that either Democrats stay home, especially those who aren't exactly thrilled with Biden's handling of the Israeli-Palestine conflict or the economy, or that enough independents in swing states jump on the Trump train. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility, though it may be harder if this morning consult poll is anything to go by. And note, this was conducted, the poll that was commissioned by Morning Consult, was conducted the day after the verdict. 49% of them think that he should just drop out. Good luck with that. And that includes 15% of Republicans. But one thing is for sure, the last sentence of this NPR article holds true. Quote, "Views of both Trump and Biden are simply very locked in." In other words, the whole thing just preaches to the choir. The people who hate Trump, or at least strongly dislike him, were not going to vote for him anyway. And those who love Trump, or at least like the idea of him, and there was a whole lot of love, by the way, if the fundraising was anything to go by, are still going to vote for him. But I don't think that it has dawned on some of them, at least maybe not yet anyway, but I don't think that it's dawned on some of them that for the first time in American history, in just under 5 months from today that we're airing this, that they could very well be voting to put a convicted felon, albeit not a violent felon, but they could be voting to put a convicted felon in the White House. So much for law and order, I suppose.
And let me add that there's no higher calling than protecting the local citizenry. Law and order is the very foundation of our great country.
That particular line by Alistair Crane, the faceless villain of the former NBC soap opera Passions, was uttered nearly 24 years ago. It wouldn't be out of place today, and there's a certain irony about that because, you see, in recent years, there have been a lot of folks and news outlets, some of whom in bad faith, talk a big talk about crime, the rampant crime in Democrat-run cities, saying that they won't go to those cities, they won't travel in those cities, those cesspools, of crime and things. Now, look, let's not get it twisted. There is crime in this country. I don't care where it is, blue cities, whatever the case may be, blue cities, red cities, purple cities, pink cities. I don't know what it is, but let's not get it twisted. There is crime in cities in this country, but I do not hear a lot of those people. I don't hear a lot of the same people keeping the same energy for the different kind of red wave of murders, and that's when you subtract. It's even when you subtract the blue cities, when you subtract those Democrat-run cities, a lot of folks will most likely say no, especially a lot of these folks that scream loudly about crime. They will say no to felons voting. They will also say no to felons taking care of their children in the daycare center. They'll say no to felons being hired at their place of employment or business. And they'll say no to felons house sitting for them. They'll say no to all of those things, but they are willing to say yes to voting for a felon. They're saying yes to putting a felon in 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And what's even more remarkable is that days after the sentencing at the Republican National Convention, the GOP and the parade of folks that will be there taking the stage, maybe empty chairs will take the stage again. They will scream and shout about law and order. But apparently it will still be acceptable to nominate a convicted felon unless Nikki Haley comes back in to save the GOP from itself. Now, yes, I'm aware that she tepidly endorsed Trump. I get that. But what's been very, very interesting to see over the last few months, especially recently, is that in state by state, she still, long after suspending her campaign, is pulling rather decent numbers. She represented the best chance. She represented the best chance for the GOP to change course. It's too late. I don't think it's far-fetched to perhaps see a showdown at the convention floor. That's if the GOP comes to its senses. I don't think that higher standards for those seeking the office of the president, or higher standards for those who are already in that office and are seeking re-election to said office, is too much to ask. Well, given the choices that we do have, perhaps voting for somebody with worms in their brain, somebody who's old, somebody whose uniform comprises of a black suit and black tie, Mickey Mouse, or maybe even writing in yours truly, will be a vote free of hypocrisy. President Eugene Obah. That's got a nice ring to it, doesn't it? I rest my case. And with that, that does it for this edition of Fit to Speak, this special edition of Fit to Speak. Listen, there's going to be a lot more where that came from when the show returns later this year, for real this time, I promise. So you better stay tuned to catch it all. In the meantime, don't forget to follow us on all of our social media accounts for more information, including all of the bonus content that you'll see for today's show. And don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell on our YouTube channel so that you do not miss any of our episodes. We'll see you later this year when Fit to Speak returns, and keep it locked here on this YouTube channel for more great content, dare I say, damn good content to come. Until then, I'm Eugene Obah. Thanks for watching, and remember, we will not be silenced.